Take care. The 6 o'clock news on sbynews.com. Let's talk about the Child Advocacy Center and the fundraiser that they held yesterday under Sarah Foxwell's name. It was very well attended. I wish it was promoted a little better through the rest of the mainstream media. You know, it disturbs me quite a bit that they step in this late in the game as the event's happening and bring it to you viewers and talk about it. Daily Times never even showed up, had nothing to do with it at all. We're finding that a lot lately. Last 3, 4, 5 events I've been to, the Daily Times isn't even there, so they're just getting fed whatever information's coming about through press releases, and that's about it. Anyhow, the bands were phenomenal at this event. Top shelf. I don't normally like to go out and listen to bands, but I stayed almost the entire time, maybe 20 minutes left to go when I finally left the event. So, and I was there from the very, very beginning. But I'd like to thank the people of Hope Entertainment. These guys put off a lot of these events. They did it with Lungs for Chuck at Secrets. They've done this event and several others that have just been phenomenal. And they really draw the people in to go to these events. And we appreciate their support. Davis Ruark at this event mentioned that they are going to change the name of the Child Advocacy Center into Sarah Foxwell's name. So I believe it'll be the Sarah Foxwell Advocacy Center. So we thought that was pretty cool. It's going to be a nice thing for the family, and we appreciate that. Let's talk about delegates Jim Mathias and Norm Conway. They came to the Wicomico Library on Saturday and held a town hall event. Folks, they don't have to do this, and we found it very interesting that not only did they pull this off, they very carefully answered all of the questions that were asked to them. There were some pretty hard questions asked. They answered them. They answered them honestly. I don't think anybody could walk away from that meeting thinking they had been lied to, they had been misled, that these guys were playing any games. They directly answered questions, and I thought my hat was tipped to them. I don't know if I would have walked into that environment if I was in their shoes. Like I said, they don't have to do these events. They did. I enjoyed it. I learned an awful lot. One of the things that I'd like to talk about is how these delegates work. Norm Conway had mentioned one thing about how these delegates vote on certain issues, and that you only need 71 votes to pass a bill. So if someone's talking about the poultry industry and pollution, for example, the bottom line is if they get 71 votes, they can create all kinds of legislation on these poultry farmers. And that's just one example. There's all kinds of issues. But what I want to touch on with that example is the Eastern Shore. Out of the 71 votes you need to pass something, the Eastern Shore only has 10 votes. So you have to recognize how hard Jim Mathias and Norm Conway work on certain legislative bills that come in front of them, or legislation, let's just put it that way, because there are only 10 votes. And if you've got on the Western Shore people who don't care about poultry farmers, who have no interest in poultry farmers, they've got to convince 61 other people or less not to vote for that certain legislation. So it's very difficult, very challenging. I didn't know that before, and we're learning more and more as we go on here. But my hat's tipped to them. I think they did a wonderful job. We'll discuss more about that later, because I'm hoping tomorrow to head to Annapolis, and they're doing some work on the legislation in reference to sex offenders and the death penalty. So I want to be there. I've been invited by these delegates to come down there, and I'm going to make the trip. So comments may be a little slow tomorrow, so keep your eye on that. Christine Shetty. The police went out of state, visited with a prisoner that they believed had some kind of involvement with the disappearance of Christine Shetty. They came back with a location, an exact location, and within a very short period of time, they found the skeleton remains of a body. Is it Christine Shetty? There's no positive answer to that as of yet, but considering they went where they went, came back with the information that they did, went to the location, exhumed the body within a very short period of time. They're pretty confident that it is. So we'll see what happens here. I don't want to really jump the gun too much, but I'm pretty convinced that they know what they're looking for and they found it, and it's a shame for the family, but the bottom line is perhaps they can put this to rest now. Anyhow, I'm going to move on a little bit. Let's talk about the fire department and the Wicomico Library, both located in Salisbury. Station 16 had not cleared their sidewalks in front of their facility. Now, it bothered me quite a bit because you, the taxpayers, including myself, because I'm a city taxpayer, paid out a lot of money for those sidewalks. And I thought it was a very poor example for the city of Salisbury Fire Department not to clear their sidewalks, especially since they've got so many alleged volunteers, 140 or so they claim to have. You know, and that doesn't include the professional paid firefighters. But the bottom line is, we put up a post about it, showed images with the sidewalks being completely loaded with snow and other passage areas where you would cross, stacked up 4, 5, 6 feet tall. So they did go in, they did remove the snow. We appreciate that. I wish I could have gone down there with the snow blower. I was asked not to do it, not by the fire department, mind you, but it was suggested that I don't do that, and I wish I had, because it would have just taken 20, 30 minutes to get it out of there, and the man time wouldn't have had to been put into this that these guys had to put in. But that's what we do, folks. We expose these things, and that's our job. I do have several friends there. Does it bother me that I posted that? Yeah. But it's what I do. And these people respect what I do, and it is what it is at this point. The Wicomico County Library, Mayor Ireton and I were standing outside the building at one point, and I pointed out to him where they had not cleared out the sidewalk. And of course we were all in a rush to go somewhere, so there wasn't time to go back in and say anything to them, but I did post that on Salisbury News for everybody to see. To those people who got a fine, to those people who got whatever from code and compliance, the bottom line is, I think you ought to fight it to the hilt when it comes to your sidewalks and so forth in front of your homes and residents and businesses. If the city and county cannot set an example, it's do as I say, not as I do, and I disagree with that. You all know that about me. I will not stand for that, nor should you. You're a taxpayer. Get your rights. Get them right. The city needs to do the right thing. They haven't so far. The fire department did come back and clear out their area, and my hat's tipped to you guys. We appreciate that letter you sent to us. We understand how busy you've been, and we appreciate the fact that you're not trying to make excuses, although it's an excuse. Hey folks, we'll see you Wednesday and Friday. We appreciate you coming here. Have a great, great evening. Thanks.